just excuse me, just letting more people in. So welcome to today's career chat. Today we're going to focus on site manager, and pleased to have our alliance partners Kier and Prospect Homes with us. So thank you very much. Just a few housekeeping. We are going to have a Q&A, but that will be at the end of the session. So if I can just ask you to hold off from asking anything whilst our speakers are speaking. There is a chat box. If you hover your mouse in the middle of the screen, you'll see a panel bar comes up, and there's show conversation. Just click on there and you can put your chat in there. If you have any issues, I'll pop my mobile number in there and just text me it, or there will be the opportunity to unmute yourself at the end and ask your own question. So don't worry, you will be heard. So I will stop waffling now, and I'll hand over. So sit back and enjoy our site manager career chat. Over to you, Angela.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. So I'm going to waffle now, and then I'll pass to our speakers. It's our site manager virtual career chat this morning. It was incredibly successful last time round, so we've had an awful lot of requests to repeat this. We are joined by Kier and Prospect Homes, so two phenomenal employers and great support of Buildforce. So without further ado, I will pass over to our speakers. We're going to hear from Corey Bedford first from Prospect Homes, and then from Kier we will hear from Dale Capstick and Lara Darosha Faria. It's got the most phenomenal name, but I'll pass in the first instance to Corey. Okay.
Thanks, Angela. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us this morning. Just bear with me, I'm just getting the slideshow up now. We've literally just trialed this about 2 minutes ago, and it's
Don't worry, you've got it in hand. We have just tried it, so it will work. Don't worry.
Right, let me just close it down, Caroline. I'll start it again.
Yeah, sure.
Whilst Corey's bringing the presentation up, for those that don't know, you can, towards the end when we do a Q&A, you can either wave your hand and come on screen and ask your question in person, or if you use the text box, you can just type out the question and I can ask it on your behalf, so whichever one works. So, okay, I think we're ready to go, Corey. Well done.
Well done.
Here we go. Where are we going?
Gotta love technology. Over to you, Corey.
Right, good morning, everyone. My name is Corey Bedford. I'm an assistant site manager for Prospect Homes. So my background is I served 6 years in the Royal Navy. I was a warfare specialist slash sonar operator on Royal Navy submarines, serving on Vanguard class, which was the Trident submarines, which holds the UK's nuclear deterrent. So I left as an able rate, which is the first rank in the Royal Navy. So I'm hoping this will be some sort of inspiration to anyone who is of a junior rank, and if a senior rank, even more so. So my journey began in November 2017. That's when I put my notice in to leave the forces. So prior to this, I had some sort of idea that I wanted to transition into construction, but I wasn't too sure what avenue I wanted to take. So I started doing a little bit of digging, looking at the different types of roles there was in construction, and started to pair it up with the skills I had and the interest I had. Whilst I was doing that sort of digging, I came across Buildforce while looking at Armed Forces transition programs. And the description of Buildforce sounded like a perfect fit for what I was looking for leaving the forces and transitioning into construction. So I got in touch with Buildforce, and shortly afterwards I received an induction call from Caroline, who explained what Buildforce was about, how the organisation would be able to help. And yeah, we got the ball rolling from there. So shortly afterwards, I took all my available leave. So as you'll be aware, you'll have individual leave allowance, which I saved up to take, as well as my resettlement leave and my terminal leave. So just prior to actually leaving, I put myself on some courses. So I done my CSCS card. I done a SMSTS, which is your Site Manager's Safety Training Scheme course. And I also done a First Aid at Work course. So these courses, I've done a bit of digging on these, and I've been looking into site management and construction management, and looking at all the job markets like Indeed, Total Jobs, all that sort of stuff. I was searching for assistant site manager jobs and trainee site manager roles. So when I was looking at these descriptions under the essential criteria, it was coming up these 3 certificates I needed. So that's where I got the information from to realise I needed these qualifications, go for the role that I wanted. So if you are looking at different types of roles that you're unsure about, the most honest place is actually the job market, because you're getting live information of what employers require for you to take a job up with them. So shortly after I'd done the courses, in and around August, September, I had a phone call from Caroline, who'd spoke to one of the alliance partners at Galliford Try Partnerships, which is now Vistery, and she organised a work placement for me on a construction site in Liverpool. So I had 3 weeks at Galliford Try doing a work placements, and I was working under a project manager. So while I was there, I basically said to the project manager, what I want from this experience is to take away the sort of skills or the sort of experience needed for pushing forward with a role in site management as a trainee or as an assistant. So that's exactly what he did. He included me in client meetings, subcontractor meetings, site walk around, just pointed things out that he'd expect if he had an assistant site manager working under him, which was really helpful. It was the exact sort of experience I was after. Shortly after that, the 3 weeks was up. Someone from Galliford Try actually put me in touch with another site manager who put me on a smaller site for some more experience, because the initial one was a lot of groundworks, and then the second one I went into was more the finishing side, which was great because I was getting both sides of the spectrum, both sides of the project there, the beginning and then the ending. So the work placement was really helpful. From that, I made a contact at Galliford, who I kept in touch with in the time afterwards. And he liked my attitude. He liked everything about the forces and what ex-forces personnel can bring to the table. So he was actively trying to get me a job there. Nothing was available at the time. So after that, I left. We shook hands, and I kept in touch from there. So the next part was my contract terminated in November. So that's the final step. Then a lot of people can sort of panic at this point if you haven't got things lined up, or you haven't got any sort of career lined up for yourself when you leave. This is the bit where you sort of might worry, because this is your last payday now, and after this you're out in the world with no job security or financial security. So at the time after that, I was working with my brother, who actually works as an electrician. So I was getting some sort of building experience, as I'd worked with him previously before. But it was on the domestic sector, so it wasn't actually site work. Shortly after that, I was working with him for a few months. I think it was June time. I was on a rewire, really messy job, if anyone's aware. And on the Friday, I had a phone call from the project manager from Galliford Try, who I'd done a work placement with, and he basically offered me a job as an assistant site manager to start on the following Monday, which was brilliant. So I couldn't get over it. I couldn't stop smiling afterwards when I went back in for my lunch. So that's my journey from initially submitting my notice actually to get my first job offer in construction and site management. So this diagram basically shows me as as forces personnel to the point of reaching site management, and the impact and the sort of help that Build Force as an organisation had on my transition. So I'll just start from the top corner here. So I went to an Insight Day, I think it was last year actually, in the March, which was really helpful. And one thing I'll say is, it sounds like a bit of a cliche, but it's not what you know, it's who you know, and it's especially in construction, if you make contacts, from contacts, you're going to get opportunities, potential opportunities, whether it's weeks or whether, in my case, it was months down the line. That was about 8 or 9 months after my until I done the work placement, till I got my job offer. So from that end, I can't recommend the Insight Days enough. When I went to the one last year in March, there was there's all employers there from all the big ones as well, like Balfour, BT, Kier, Highways. They're all there with a specific interest in what ex-forces have got to offer. So don't be concerned that you've been in the Army or the Navy or the RAF for 10, 15 years and it's all you've ever known and you've got nothing to offer, because the skills you might not be aware of that you can use to transition into various sectors of construction. So I definitely recommend Insight Days if you haven't already, and obviously with the current situation, it might be something we can push forward with in the future. So ongoing support I received from Buildforce was great. I had Caroline phoning me every few weeks to see how I was getting on. She sent me a few emails to see if I was interested in jobs, to see if it was something that was something that I was looking at. So I was getting jobs for ex-forces sent over. I was getting contacts. She was sending me people's numbers who could have potential, even work placements or upcoming opportunities, which was fantastic as well. But the number one for me, which is obviously how I got the job I'm in now, is through the work placements. So work placements, there's two ways you can look at it. You can look at it as if, oh, well, I'm working for free, or you can look at it as, well, I'm getting experience here for free, which is going to help me progress with my route to construction. And that's exactly what it is. So through the work placements, I got great experience in site management. After that, I could put that on my CV, and I actually applied for a few jobs afterwards and was being considered for some roles. Whereas beforehand, I don't even think I was getting a look in. I wasn't getting any sort of phone calls back asking me more. But after I'd done the work placement at Galliford Try, I was getting phone calls because it was on my CV, these different sorts of responsibilities that I held even as a work placement. And then again, from the work placement, you're making contacts. I actually done another work placement it was only one day. It was for weights, and that was early last year, 2019. And I got on again really well with a project manager there, and he was trying to help me out and get me a job. In the wake of that, the community support officer for weights, she actually said that if any jobs come up that I'm interested in my area, their operations director told me to apply for it and said that I'd get it. So it just proves the power of making contacts within the industry. And if you maintain good relationships with people, opportunities will come from it. Like I said, whether it's days, weeks, or even months, in my case. So the key points I'd make for anyone who's leaving the forces looking for a career in construction is research, and I can't stress that enough. Before I'd put my notice in, I was doing tons of research. There's websites such as goconstruct.org. I think I've got a link for it at the end of this slide. They've got something on there called a skills personality test, I think it is, and it's a bit of a questionnaire, and you just tick off your interests, the sort of job role and environment you'd like to work in, and in the end, it gives you suggestions based on the answers you've put in, which was really helpful. That sort of narrowed down my search of what sort of jobs I wanted to go into in construction, because there's obviously a lot of different types. So from that, identify your goal. You can be leaving the force and say, well, I want to work in construction, or I want to work in this sort of department, but you need to narrow down and identify the goal that you want. So for me, I got that down to site management. I sort of pinpointed that and said, well, this is what I want to do. So once you've identified your goal, you can start then digging deeper and go, well, what do I need to achieve this? Like I said earlier, so for me, I wanted to be a trainee site manager or an assistant site manager. So from that, I was looking on the job market. I was typing it in on Indeed and all the other job sites. And then you just look through all the different jobs, and some require different qualifications. You know, some of the bigger companies want you to have a degree. Not all of them do. So go on the job market, have a look, see what essential criteria they're after. That's how I found out I needed to do the SMSTS, the first aid at work, and get my CSCS card as a minimum. So after that, I'd say get experience in that role, which again is what I did. So Caroline got me the work placements at Galliford Try, and when I went there, I made it clear to the project manager that I want to get experience as if I'm a trainee or an assistant site manager. And the experience will work wonders with you, because, like I said previously, when I was applying for jobs afterwards, I'd actually put it on my CV, which you can, because you know it's experience and it's things you've picked up. I was applying for jobs, and although I never got any before my employment at Galliford Try, I was getting phone calls back from recruiters who were considering me and putting me forward for jobs, whereas beforehand I wasn't. So another one, network. Again, this is all to do with making contacts. Making contacts is huge. Get yourself on LinkedIn. You know, search for all the sort of companies, all the sectors you're interested in. Network with the HR managers, the you know, people in the sort of role you're looking at, and get speaking to people. If you get along with people, you know, a lot of the time they want to help you out and they do want to get you a job, which happened in my case twice, with one being successful. And again, with the network, and when it's obviously safe to do so and the restrictions are relaxed, to get yourself to the likes of the Insight Days. And then after that, which is key again, is persistence. So I was sending email, I was sending loads of emails. I was looking online every day and applying for as many jobs as I could, to the point where I was looking through the jobs and I was coming across old ones I'd already applied for. And it can wear you down, and you can sort of get disheartened a little bit by it when you're not getting any response or nothing's materializing from it. But you need to be persistent. If you make your contacts, which I did when I left Galliford Try, every now and again, every few weeks, I'd give the project manager a phone call just to keep him in my mind. Make sure I was the first name on the top of his head if a job came up. So just be persistent. Just stick at searching for the job sites. Keep looking every day. There's jobs all the time. There's opportunities available all the time. Keep persistent on LinkedIn, and like I said, contacts is a big one, because I think that's the main way you're going to get your foot in the door, is through contacts. Through emails, it's not all the time they're going to see your application, or not all the time they're going to consider it. So just a bit more additional information here. So National Careers Service, that's another one where you can do a really in-depth questionnaire of the different types of jobs that match up to your skills and interests. CITB has got all the relevant qualifications that you need, and all stuff to do with your CSCS card for the type of job that you're looking at. Go Construct, that's the one I mentioned earlier, so that's really helpful. I'd definitely go in there and have a look. Get on the personality quiz and get your interest in there if you're still unsure of what type of job role you want to go into in construction. And that's the end from me. Thanks very much for listening.
Corey, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. Just before I pass on to our next speaker, there was a very good question from Charles in the comments box. If you're able to type in a response. So any courses that you've referenced or certificates you've got, if you could make a note of those, just so that everybody watching can see them, that would be good. Okay, so again, thank you again for that, Corey. I'll pass over to Dale from Kier, and he'll be joined by Lara, who's their Corporate Social Responsibility Manager. Just camera off.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Sure.
Do you want me to carry on? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dale Capstick. I'm Assistant Site Manager for Kier Regional Building Northwest in Scotland. I've been working in the commercial sector of the building industry for the past 3.5 years. A bit regarding my background. So initially when I left school, I started work as a labourer on a residential building site. I soon realised there was more money in gaining NVQs, getting a trade. So I went to college and did plastering. Soon got fed up with that and realised I wanted to do something that was a bit cleaner. I went back to college and did my plumbing. I did this for about 4 years. After doing this, I decided I fancied a bit of a change. At the same time, a few of my friends had joined the army. At the same time, I realised just felt this was going to be looked a bit easy joining the army, so I decided to join the Royal Marines instead. I served in the Royal Marines just over 6 years, travelling the world, obviously tour of Afghanistan as well. Unfortunately, I was injured during service, which led me to be medically discharged. I didn't really want to leave, to be honest. I really enjoyed being a bootneck. Similar to what Cora was saying, I left the Marines with no rank. I was just a Marine. And again, it shows that you don't need to be an officer or to have held a rank to become a manager in the construction industry. So during my resettlement period, I attended various careers fairs, careers events, some set up by the CTP and also charities. Whilst at one of these careers events, I managed to get an interview with Transport for London, and I was successful in getting a 6-month placement scheme on their ex-forces placement scheme as a project support officer. During this time, I applied for an assistant project manager role, but was unsuccessful. After this setback, I contacted the C Group, which is now part of the Royal Marines charity, and they put me in touch with Kier. This was fine with me because I kind of felt like I'd be better suited to more site-based project management, as TfL was more office-based in central London. After a few interviews with Kier, I was offered the position of assistant site manager, which was great. Within the first 2-3 months of working for Kier, I was actually offered a position on the Kier degree program, on the construction management degree program. I put this down to being in the right place at the right time. I consider this a really great opportunity for myself, as I left school with minimal qualifications, really, and this has really helped me as my career progresses through construction as a manager. I'll just go into kind of what I've been doing since I left. So obviously I started for Kier Southern. I worked for Kier Southern about 1.5 years. After this, I decided I wanted to move closer to home. So I'm from the northwest, and I transferred to Kier Manchester. Obviously, the only issue is that is experience I gained from Southern and proved myself. I was looking to apply for site manager roles, but obviously transferring again, you need to prove yourself again in the new office, which is what I'm working towards at the minute. I've worked on various projects since starting for Kier. So I've worked on new build schools, extensions to schools. Did an interesting job for Eurotunnel down in Folkestone, which was a FlexiPlus lounge. This was constructed using SIPS panels, which is structurally insulated panels. So it's all like timber. So it's similar to CLT decking, which is cross-laminated timber decking. It's all wood timber frame, no square corners, all rounded corners. Really interesting project. My current project I'm working on is Manchester Museum Courtyard for the University of Manchester. I am the site manager on this job. The project is worth approximately 8.5 million. Project is to build extension to the existing museum over 2 floors. This is to create Southeast Asian gallery and especially special art exhibition gallery also. Along with this, there is internal refurb works. The location of the extension is surrounded by Grade 2 listed buildings, and also the museum itself has vibration monitoring in the stores where the artifacts are kept. Obviously, this is very, very important to not exceed the vibration limits. Otherwise, we could damage priceless artifacts and stuff. So it's quite an interesting, a difficult job, but it's actually very interesting. I'm really enjoying it. The build itself, it's steel frame construction with a basement. The ground floor is a metal decking, which is stud welded. Then pour concrete into that, which is going to be a polished concrete floor. The upper floor, the first floor, is CLT decking, which I said earlier, which is cross-laminated timber. That's also the same as the roof. I think it's just chosen in the design due to acoustics. That's just a bit of a background as to projects I've done, my route into construction, and also my current project. I'll go into like a day in the life of just, it's not what happens every day, but it's just to give you an idea of what the activities and the types of things you're likely to do. So on a typical day, arrive at site about 6:45. I'll unlock the building, turn the alarms off, make the kettle on. Unlike a normal site, we are located in the basement of an existing building, the existing museum. So that's the general setup. About 7:30, I'll do like a site walk around. I'll check the perimeters, check the fences, make sure nothing's changed overnight. There's no areas that are unsafe for the lads coming to site. About 8 o'clock, we'll brief the lads on site where they're going to work, if there's any safety issues they need to be aware of, other trades in the areas, coordinating work, stuff like that. Also, I'll update the safety board, which will have like a plan on the site, show where plant is, exclusion zones, deliveries, access, egress, fire points, all that sort of stuff. About 8:30, do any inductions that are needed for new starters on site. Start of the week, I'll create a weekly monitoring form. This captures any safety issues or hazards or anything that needs closing out during that week, or items that arrive during the week. You'll look to close those out on a weekly basis. About 9:30, go for any outstanding paperwork like Q&A sign-offs, actually quality assurance. That's checking specifications against the as-built, what's there. Also, you do RAMS evaluation, so you'd evaluate the risk assessments, method statements of upcoming contractors on site, making sure they are pertinent to the role they're doing, the areas they're going to be working in, complying with our minimum standards with regards to safety, working at height, PPE, access, permits, all that sort of stuff. So we'd evaluate them, send them back with comments, and either accept them or reject them until they're correct for what we need for site. About 10 o'clock, I'll do a site walk around, just check the lads are working in the areas they're meant to be working in, but also working safely, working within the parameters of these RAMs. About 11 o'clock, sometimes try and do two toolbox talks a week on activities on site that are relevant. So say it's exclusion zones or towers and stuff, we'll do talks on towers or potentially spill kit training or anything like that that will be pertinent to the lads' works. About 1 o'clock, try and close out any items picked up on health and safety visits. get stuff ordered for the site to make the site safe. You'd attend weekly client meetings, keep them informed of the activities you're doing on site, where you're working, any impacts on our neighbours, surrounding buildings, also any safety issues or anything we need regards information from them. I'll just say a little bit on courses. So I don't think you necessarily need a degree to be a site manager, but saying that being on this degree program, doing this construction management degree, it has helped me understand the construction process a lot more, and everything that's involved in it, which are really, really beneficial. I think a lot is said for your knowledge and experience, but again, you gain this over time. So as you go through, you'll start picking things up, and it does take quite a lot of time because there's a lot of technical knowledge you need to know. But if you're forthcoming and you ask questions, you'll soon pick it up and learn. People, most of the time, they'll be happy to tell you how things are put together and made. You'll soon gather knowledge. Certificates, similar to what Corey said again, SMSDS, your CSCS card is your basics and first aid on site. The courses you could do, temporary works coordinator course. This is when you've got to plan and prepare temporary works, potentially backpropping or design scaffolding, or a map for your crane or mute, stuff like that. Other courses like fire marshal, fire coordinator courses, asbestos awareness, Syria, which is your environmental courses, Cat and Jenny trainings. This is when you're detecting for underground services, electric, water, gas, all that sort of stuff. PASMA, maybe, if you're erecting, dismantling aluminium towers. IPAF, mutes, cherry pickers. That's handy sometimes if you're doing your quality assurance checks on facades of buildings. You can just jump in the mute or the cherry picker and you can check the details, make sure they are correct, and it also helps you snagging it as well. Fit for work, medical, stuff like that. And other courses regarding evaluating RAMs, putting people to work, all that sort of stuff. I'll just finish now with just a couple of my thoughts on my route and my background and stuff. Coming from the military, because it's so regimented, and you'll be here by this time, 5 minutes before, all that sort of stuff. It's kind of like coming from 100 miles an hour to 30 miles an hour when you join City Street again. This takes a bit of getting used to. As well, the way you approach people and chat to them, you need to kind of adopt your approach to get the best out of people. So that's kind of been a bit of a learning curve myself. I kind of had to adapt my leadership style, my approach to managing people. But it's been good. It's been challenging at times, but it's very rewarding. Just got a few good points, bad points. So good points of site management. It's a very satisfying process, seeing a building come out of the ground from nothing. To say, look, I was directly contributed to building that project. Bad points, it can get very frustrating when information is missing regarding details and as-built drawings, all that sort of stuff. Another good point, to learn a lot about all aspects of the construction process, not only from site level, but also from different job roles involved in site management or involved in construction, like the quantity surveying, the money side of it, project management, looking over the whole site of the project. Yeah, there's a lot of trades, a lot of careers that revolve around construction that people might not know about, like the design, the planning side of it, all that. There's a lot of avenues you can go into, not just site management. You don't have to be on site and out on site every day. There's loads of different job roles. Another bad point, long hours sometimes. Say you've got a concrete pour, might start pouring at like, I don't know, 8 in the morning, you might not finish till midnight, depending on the size of it. Obviously, it's not got a day joint allowed, all that sort of stuff. You've got to stay till that floor's done. So sometimes it's long hours, but then also the lads are done, you can lock site up at 4 o'clock with happy days. Last thing for me, good point. There's always progression in site management, starting as trainee, assistant, site manager, project manager, contract manager, whatever you want to be. There's loads of progression. So it's as much as you want to put into it, as much as you get out of it. Again, just attend your careers fairs, chat to everybody. It's very good industry and a very fulfilling industry to be in, I think. So that's about it for me. So good luck. I hope it's been helpful. See you later. If you've got any questions.
Yeah, there's a few coming through, Dale, and I've got my own as well. So we'll get you afterwards, but we'll pass over to your colleague, Lara, if she's there.
No worries.
Thank you for that, Dale. That was brilliant. Thank you. So Lara's just getting her on.
Hi, everybody. I'm just connecting my presentation. Okay, can you all see that?
Yep, that's perfect, Lara. Thank you.
Great stuff. Okay, so I'm not a site manager. My role is corporate social responsibility. And as Corey mentioned, there are social responsibility, CSR managers, community managers who work across a lot of the tier 1 companies. And our role is looking at employments and skills, working with employability programs, working with the local community, giving people work experience opportunities, apprenticeship opportunities, and generally sort of connecting the community with the projects and the work that we do as a business, and are often a good source within tier 1 contractors as an avenue into the construction industry. And that's what my role is sort of facilitating that relationship between sort of the wider community, employments and skills and the projects. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Kier and what we do, if you haven't heard of us, and then a little bit at the end about the routes into construction. So if you haven't heard of Kier, we are the leading UK construction and infrastructure company. We cover everything from design specialisms to consultancy work to actual physical on the ground working, everything from network rail to highways, bridge buildings, large infrastructure projects involved in a lot of the HS2 and the Crossrail down south at the minute. But yeah, focus on sort of that knowledge and skills and intellectual capacity that helps deliver all of these sort of built environment and infrastructure projects across the whole of the UK. So Dale and I actually work in one part of Kier, which is the Kier regional build. And the regional build is we cover anything from £500,000 extension to a school right the way up to £35 million turnover per annum projects. So anything from commercial buildings, schools, hospitals, apartment blocks, offices, you name it. We cover that in regional build, but there are various different business units across the whole of Kier. So we have a highways division, and we're responsible for delivering and building a lot of the major motorways across the UK. We are also, in the last 10 years, delivered over £5 billion worth of educational buildings, which would predominantly fall under regional build. We also have a specialist health area where we deliver hospitals and health related projects. And then we also have our rail business as well, which I've mentioned. So quite a varied company, but all related to the built environment and the UK infrastructure. And within that, various different roles as well. So just to give you a little bit of an overview of some of the things that we're sort of involved in and that we've delivered. So something that you may be able to relate to. So we're involved in delivering the £160 million new facility for the US Air Force at RAF Lakenheath at the present. And they do have a social value manager on there with the focus on linking in to you know, working with ex-forces and giving people opportunities on their sites. We are build projects, so we have a massive infrastructure of regional build offices all the way across the UK, and I'll give you an idea of where our actual offices are based in one of the next slides. But just to give you an idea, those offices cover up to sort of 250 different projects a year. And just in the Northwest alone at the minute, we've got sort of near 10 projects, all various different sizes, and where we might have 10 live, we've also got another 10 that will be in design or development phase. So yeah, we are involved in working with Anglian Water, so fixing leaky pipes, laying pipes. We also have a Kier living business, so building homes, maintaining street lights, you name it, we kind of cover it all. And then on the end there, you can see we have a highways team that not only are involved in changing a lot of the motorways into smart motorways, also just that road maintenance kind of thing. So if you've ever been stuck on the M6 recently, apologies, that is one of Kier's joint ventures that we're involved in at the minute. So moving on. So yeah, where we work, so like I said, we've got a national reach, but then there's sort of like a bit more of a regional office focus to it, which is then we're able to then work with the local supply chains and local subcontractors. So I don't know if you understand the full sort of process around construction. Kier and a lot of the tier ones were classed as like a construction management company, and then what we do is we then subcontract in smaller companies to help us deliver our projects. So we have a really strong local supply chain. So sometimes there are opportunities with Kier Direct, but then there's also we carve out opportunities within our supply chain. So working for our ground workers, for example, or even our security providers and our M&E contractors, we can facilitate opportunities on our projects, but with our supply chain as well. So yeah, and that's where that local feel comes into it. So yeah, just to give you a bit of an idea of the scope of Kier, we've got 60 UK regional offices, and we have had sort of international projects as well. So yeah, projects in the Middle East, Caribbean office, and also in Australia, the latter sort of being closed down recently. But yeah, we've got that international reach if you're still sort of interested in a bit of travel. But yeah, if you go on the Kier website, all those locations are there. It also may help to identify who is the local CSR person, social value manager, or even HR person based at those offices. Should you be interested in looking, we actually do all our recruitment in-house. So if you ever see a job for Kier advertised through an agency, it's probably a ghost one rather than a real one. So everything is done directly through Kier and through our websites as well. So yeah, just to give you a bit of an idea of what we deliver through the Kier Northwest Regional Build Office. Everything from Bolton Interchange, Bury Fire Station, high-end offices at Windmill Green, which has won environmental awards. It's got a live green growing wall. It's got beehives on the roof. Yeah, so quite innovative in itself. Merseycare, which is a health facility in Liverpool. Sensor City, which is an education facility, which is a joint between John Moores University and the University of Liverpool. And then Parklife, which was a series of 5G grassroots football pitches for the football association, for the FA, basically, for the Football Association across Liverpool. So again, quite varied. We've also been involved in some really iconic buildings, such as Chester Theatre House, Story House, which was an amazing job to be involved in. And on the other side, you know, if you've ever driven from Manchester over to Liverpool Airport, Kier were also involved in building the amazing Mersey Gateway Bridge as well. So Dale's mentioned his project, which is Manchester Museum Courtyard, but we've also got some other cool projects currently live in Manchester. The one on the top right there is the School of Digital Art for Manchester Metropolitan University. So that is going to be student film studios and recording studios. A very, very interesting, small, iconic building right smack bang in the middle of the university facilities and the estate at the minute. And then the one at the bottom there is for the University of Manchester. What looks like Teletubby World is actually a concrete dome structure that will have grass over the top, and it's a new visitors centre and it's got interactive sort of facilities for the University of Manchester there, as well as building a new theatre, what's called Shakespeare North in Merseyside. So yeah, lots of really interesting projects, and that's just through our regional office alone. So local to where you are, you'll find equally interesting projects delivered through regional build. So some of the routes into construction. Work experience, I appreciate you guys have, you know, got lots of work experience, but that transition into construction is, you know, it's worthwhile if you've got time off, if you've got a period of transition, is like both of the guys have said, is getting that foot in the door and having that experience. I think one, you get to meet people, but two, you also get to show off your skills. A lot of the time when it comes to recruiting people from the forces, tier one contractors don't necessarily, and also not just tier one contractors, but the hiring manager might not necessarily directly understand how a military CV translates into the skills that we require in construction. So having that opportunity to showcase your skills on site, that thing that Dale was talking about, turning up 5 minutes beforehand, or, you know, and being prepared, and that sort of organized, following instructions, doing as you're asked, is so highly regarded. Stuff that you guys take for granted can only be showcased through an opportunity like a work experience. And, you know, you will then also have that opportunity to meet some of the other subcontractors where there is more opportunities, if I'm honest, within the supply chain as well. So you are also able to expand your own network through, you know, something as simple as a 2-week work experience or shadowing opportunity. We do have apprenticeships, which is, you know, across the whole of Kier Group, can be, I think there's over 50 apprenticeships, everything from HR apprenticeships through to gas fitting apprenticeships to highways and basic operations. Through to a lot of our degrees now are turning into apprenticeship degrees as well. So, you know, operative stuff, commercial stuff, management, finance, there's so many different apprenticeships available to you. And, you know, your entry level can be anything from GCSE, and then some of our apprenticeships even go all the way up to sort of master's level equivalents. So, yeah, and then Dale's mentioned the Kier degree. So yeah, that is something that you would you'd actually come in as an undergraduate and study whilst working, similar to what Dale is doing in the minute. So Kier have our own degree that is written for Kier and is delivered through Sheffield Hallam University and I think Plymouth or Portsmouth University down south. And what that is a degree that's been written for Kier, based around the construction and the commercial aspects of what we do. And you would work full time, and then you do blocks of study at the end of each semester. So you'd go away on a residential for 1 or 2 weeks. You get all of your academic sort of input then, and then you go away and then you do your coursework, and you've got a tutor assigned to you in doing it that way as well. And then you've also got the opportunity to build up a network of other people within the business that are also studying that Kier degree. So that also gives you various different opportunities. Some of the examples there in civil engineering, construction, commercial management and quantity surveying. But like I said, there's also HR, there's business development, there's lots of other things. We also have people that work for Kier and are studying a degree. So they are sponsored to do a degree. So they're not actually doing the Kier degree, but they are sponsored to do a degree at a local university. So that is something that they may do alongside. They do day release, or they do half day with an evening sort of element of study. So yeah, we've got currently one of our QSs is doing that at Salford University, and one of our operations guys, a site manager, is doing it as well. And he goes to university. Once a week and does it that way. And then there's if you've got a degree and it's in a relevant construction related qualification, then there's an opportunity to come in as a graduate, and we've got a 2-year graduate program, which is a structured program which focuses on a lot of the leadership and management skills that's required to sort of go on to that next step of management. So that gives you an ILM level 3, and there are also sort of level 5s and level 7s available as well. So yeah, various different opportunities. All of this is promoted and advertised through the Kier website. You will pick some of it up on LinkedIn. So a lot of our recruiters will promote stuff on LinkedIn, but there is the Kier website. So if you go to Kier Group website, as you can see on there, and you go to the careers, it will tell you all about what's available there. So that's it from me. I shall.
Lara, that was fantastic. Thank you very much. And just to echo Chrissy's comments there in the comment box, that was incredibly useful. There was a great amount of content there.
Just stop presenting. There we go.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so if I could ask Lara, Dale and Corey just to put their screens back on just for some questions. Lara, I don't know if you've noticed, I think Simon, Tommy and Chris are asking some questions in the comments box.
No, sorry, I did have it turned off while I was presenting.
You need to, because it's incredibly distracting, isn't it? Okay, Corey's fixing his hair. Have you had your heart hat on this morning, Corey? We all get it. Okay, and if Dale's there as well, if he's able to put his camera on.
We can see you, Dale.
Am I not here?
No, yeah, we can see you.
You're there. Okay, perfect. One of the questions is, Dale, I think you mentioned it in terms of you had some setbacks. So this is to both Dale and Corey. Emotionally, what do you tell yourself when you're having one of those setbacks? How do you just dust yourself off and get back on? So we're going to have some listeners this morning that may be struggling at the moment. Obviously, the economy is against them. What advice would you give to them?
Similar to what Cora was saying, yeah, perseverance. Like, just don't give up, don't be disheartened. You know what I mean? The more people you contact, the more times you get your name out there, the better. And just talk to everybody and anybody. It doesn't matter. And also, you don't have to start with a potentially tier 1 contractor like here. You can start with any of the regional building companies, or depends what you want to do as well. Like, I think there's a lot of house building going on at the minute as well, potentially more than the commercial sector. Don't quote me on that. So if you wanted to go into more residential stuff, there's a lot of house builders out there that are screaming out for site managers, assistant site managers, project managers, the whole lot. That's
just widen the search a little bit.
Yeah, okay, just widen your search. Don't put yourself in one box. You can start in many avenues as well. Even if you're thinking you want to go into site management, even potentially look at working on the tools, learning a trade, working your way up, then you know the full build process. And I think there's a lot of opportunities out there, and there's a lot more coming up. So it's just don't put yourself in one box, I think.
Perfect. And Corey, any advice?
I'd say even when you're applying for jobs, I mean, there was ones on there I was looking at for assistant site managers, not just trainee. So I wasn't just narrowing down to trainee roles, because only so many companies offer trainee site management roles where they put you on a specific program So there are companies that do assistant site manager roles where they basically take it on as a sort of trainee, and you work your way through, and then over the next 2 or 3 years, you work your way to site management depending on your progress. But there was jobs I was looking at that asked for a little bit of experience, or they asked for maybe 12 months experience, and I was still applying anyway. So I thought there's no harm in applying. What's the worst that can happen? So I'd say just be persistent. Even jobs where you think, oh, I'm not too sure if that might be the right fit for me, or you're not too sure if you might have a chance with it, just apply anyway, because it's not going to do you any harm. I just say be persistent. I know I was applying for a lot of jobs, and initially I wasn't getting any sort of replies back, and it can get you down, and it can start to make you question your own skills and think, well, what have I got to offer? Because at first I thought, who's going to employ me in construction when I've left the forces and I haven't got the experience? But the more you network, the more contacts you pick up, especially after work placements, and you've got a little bit of experience, you start opening doors. I know I've already mentioned work placements before, but I can't recommend it enough, because once you've got that little bit of little bit of experience, recruiters start getting more interest, and employers start getting more of an interest then. I just say be persistent and definitely get experience any way you can.
Okay, we've got a question there from Simon Hunt. I don't know if you want to put your screen on, Simon, just to ask your question. I know it's to Lara. Whilst Simon's just coming on, the question I would ask both of you is, obviously you start day one as a site manager between method statements and reading drawings and reading programmes and doing your daily diary. How did you pick up all those skills? So to both of you, to either one. Yeah, I'll start with you, Dale.
Just repetition, really.
Yeah.
There's various courses that we attend in-house, so Kier putting through rounds of evaluation, setting people to work, various stuff like that. We do like shadowing stuff, so you can shadow the planner, so you can see how the program can come together. Also design managers, designers, stuff like that as well. So if you're interested in that, you get to kind of shadow them and kind of pick up their skills. It's more repetition. The more you do it, the more you pick up, the more you know, the quicker you get at it, the better you get at it, the more information you add on to that, I think. So.
Yeah. Sorry, can I ask a question? Dale, is there any sort of transferable skills from the tasks that you did in the military that transfer through to those kind of, so I'm assuming that the QA side of it and the paperwork and the sort of the RAM side of it, is there elements of what you did in the military that is quite similar?
Sort of. I guess more it's your approach. Generally, military are quite proactive, quite get up and go, aren't we? So it's, you see an issue or a task or something that needs sorting, regardless of it being a physical task or a paperwork orientated task, you throw yourself into that. You give it your all, don't you? There is various paperwork and stuff within the military you need to fill out, stuff you need to adhere to, and obviously you're constantly training and developing in the forces. It's the same. I think communication is a big one. Like I say, the way you communicate with people and get your message across. Your teamwork and ability, getting on with your team, learning the individuals within your team and how best to get the output from these people. Technology as well, like we use quite a lot of technology in the military, especially when it comes to comms, weapon systems, stuff like that. That can be relatable to like business information modeling, all that sort of stuff. So there's quite a lot of relatable skills you've got. And there's your values as well, like the values the military has, similar to what construction does require as well anyway. So you'll have a really good, strong base, and you won't struggle. You really won't. I mean, I'm testament to that as well. You know, I've very little qualifications behind me, and it's fine. It's doable. It's good. You learn a lot as you go through.
Perfect. And Corey, same question.
So we had a little bit of experience with things like risk assessments in the Navy, especially on submarines, with it being such a volatile or potentially volatile environments. There's a huge focus on firefighting for us. Obviously at sea, you're locked away in a tin can. If there's a fire on board, you need to be able to deal with it effectively. In terms of actually doing RAMs, I picked up most of it when I done my SMSTS. So you actually learn that on the back end of the course, and you go through it from start to finish. What you do with risk assessments, method statements, what's involved, what you need to look for as someone in management. And yeah, so that I picked it up there. And then as you start on the job, as you start working with it, you pick up the experience and you get used to dealing with the systems and what you should be looking for. So yeah, really just the experience on the job.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so the listeners should have confidence that if they were to get that dream job tomorrow, they're going to be able to turn their hand to it very quickly and do an exceptional job. Okay, Lara, just a few questions just on your presentation, which was excellent, so thank you. A lot of detail in there. A question from Tommy: the word apprenticeship may put some people off, so what he was asking was, what would the salary range be for those roles?
It is a starting salary. It is an entry salary, so you are looking at probably sort of 16 to 20,000 pounds, depending on which area of the business it is. But then also what you've got to appreciate is, how expensive a degree is these years. At the minute, a degree in itself is another £7,000 a year, 7 to 9 grand a year, that's being paid by the employer if you're on a degree apprenticeship and the training side of it. So yes, I appreciate it's a modest salary, but that's not to say that the additional benefits of that studying alongside working. But then you don't necessarily stay on that salary. You could still be, like Dale, who's still doing his degree, but he's a site manager. Nobody sees Dale as a trainee site manager, because he's studying. He's a site manager, and you get paid accordingly. Also, the word apprenticeship, do not let it put you off on an age thing either. Apprenticeships are different nowadays. They're not the old YTS. They're not they're not for your 18-year-olds. Apprenticeships is a way of studying now. And a lot of money has been ploughed into apprenticeships from the government. And, companies, bigger companies, we all pay an apprenticeship levy. So we are changing a lot of the way that we study and train our people to be apprenticeships so that we can then reuse that apprentice levy. So apprenticeships are open for everybody from 18 to 50-year-olds. It's not age limiting. The only thing is the salary is still the salary that it is. If you have a degree, then obviously, and it's an irrelevant one to construction, you've got the opportunity to join a graduate program or, a development program as well. But yeah, don't let the word apprenticeship put you off. But yeah, the salaries are a little bit modest.
Great, thank you. And a question for you again, Lara, from Chris Gardner. Are you still offering work placements? And a second question to that is, for a candidate to be successful in being selected for a work placement, what criteria do you have?
So at the minute, no, we're not actually taking physical work experience placements on site over the summer period. So we've had a directive from our health and safety at group level that we are not at the minute. That's at the minute. There is nothing better than work experience, so hopefully in the not too distant future that will change. We have sponsored programs that we do with local colleges, and what we're doing is where we would normally have students on rotation from those courses, we're actually doing virtual work experience. Yes, you don't get that site side of it, you don't get to walk around the site, you don't necessarily get the networking at the minute, but you do get an insight into construction. So yeah, we are actually sort of facilitating and putting on a few virtual work experience opportunities at the minute with I have no date for when we'll be able to take physical work experience placements on site, but hopefully it is something that we're working towards.
Okay, and Charles and David, I will connect you to Lara after the call. Simon, sorry, I think you're there waiting. We were just blethering there. If Simon's got his question. Just take your mute off, Simon.
Yeah, morning, everyone. Yeah, this
Morning.
is in particular to Laura, obviously with the transferable skills piece. I forgot my question now.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so what advice could you give someone who has the prerequisite qualifications in terms of project management quals, site management quals, who's already delivered M&E projects within the industry? What sort of advice would you give them to having a full career in the industry in terms of, you know, similar to what Corey's doing on a sort of, I consider to be a full site? Clearly, M&E is just a small part of a construction piece, but
Do you know what? M&E isn't a small part of a construction piece. M&E is probably, on the sort of jobs that Corey and Dale are working on, is a third of the value of most projects. I mean, we have projects that are just M&E projects. So I would actually approach some of the bigger M&E contractors if you've got quite detailed mechanical and electrical qualifications and experience. You know, speak to the likes of NG Bailey, SES, trying to think, A and B engineering. You know, there are a lot of big national M&E contractors. So I would probably go directly to them. They actually do run really good and strong, detailed apprenticeship programs, graduate programs, just like we do.
Does
okay,
that help, Simon?
yeah, it's very useful. Thank you very much.
No bother. So David's raised actually a very good point there. Someone advised that most employers are reluctant to employ ex-forces because they don't have enough transferable skills. Could that be clarified? And I think kind of the immediate response to that is some employers just don't realise the value and don't understand the transferable skills. And I think the reason that kind of Lend-Lease and some of the other major contractors created Build Forces is we're military friendly. We are employers who understand and appreciate and respect the value that they bring. Does anybody have any comments on that?
I personally think that's mad to hear, because a lot of the employees I speak to or did speak to all value ex-forces, and they've all got a high opinion of the sort of transferable skills they can bring. So I'm quite surprised to hear that, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. I think if you're nervous or you don't think that that's the case, then look for employers like Lend-Lease and Kier that are actually signed up to the bill, you know, the ex-forces covenant. You know, that shows that there's already a positive attitude within the business towards military, but also there is a bit more of a what's the word I'm looking for? It's not positive employment, but you know, it is viewed strongly. But also within construction, there is quite a lot of ex-forces already employed. And finding those people that are already employed, like the guys have both said, that network inside of it, they know what transferable skills you've got. They know, I talked to one of our ProvSec, for example, is one of our security companies, and they work on all of our sites. They do our gate men and they do all of our security. And one of the senior guys there, he's ex-military. So for him, his preference would be a whole workforce of ex-military people, because he knows that he knows how they work and what they deliver. I've got project managers who will say to me, I want an ex-forces, please. You know, I've got 3 opportunities that are sort of entry level, but can we go ex-forces first before we go elsewhere? So yeah, I'm like Corey, I'm quite surprised. The only way that would probably happen is if you maybe go into smaller contractors and your CV hasn't been properly translated yet. That would be my only sort of suggestion.
No, that's
maybe
a good point. Okay, my question on behalf of Chris Gardner. Chris, if you're there, you're welcome to ask it. I'll kick off the first part on your behalf. To Corey, how long did you find the work placements and shadow roles that you had? So how long did you undertake them for? And what were the changes you made to your process, application, CV after the placements to secure the role?
So initially, it depends on the employer, to be honest. At the time, because I undertook the work placements while still in my resettlement period, I was still getting paid until November, and I undertook it in the October. So I was happy to do it as long as I could, regardless of not being paid or whatever. So I'd done my first work placement for 3 weeks I would have stayed longer, but he said, you know, there was a sort of 3-week point where they had to stop it. But after that, I'd spoke to someone in the company who then put me on another one on a different site for a week, which is where I got the finishing side of things, which was really helpful. It can vary, to be honest, because I said previously I'd done a work placement with weights, but that was only a day. Personally, I think you need a good week at least to be able to, you know, get involved and you know, really get to grips with what's going on that particular project. So I'd say it all depends on the employer, but I'd ask for as long as you can, really. If money is not an issue and you're still within your period, I'd say, you know, get in there for a minimum 2 or 3 weeks. In regard to how I helped or how I changed my approach, I adjusted my CV to the sort of experience that I picked up from the work placement. So things like doing site walking around, picking up on site safety. On the second work placement I'd done for Galford site, I was doing snagging for the site manager. So I was doing all the finishing side of things, preparing plots for handover. So all this sort of stuff you can put on your CV, and these are little pieces of experience that you'd expect someone in that position to be doing, you know, like snagging and preparing plots for handover. So I put that on my CV, and then when I was applying afterwards, it would reflect the experience I had, and that's where I started getting the phone calls back, and people were gaining more interest into that little bit of experience I had, and the ex-forces background I have, which is why I'm surprised that there's employees out there who don't really see the benefits from it, because they were pairing the two together, the experience that I'd done through work placement and the fact I had an ex-forces background, and that's what was sort of gaining more interest. Sorry.
And the point on your CV there, Cody, is the reader of the CV is the employer. So you just started populating and adding meat on the bones to a CV of things they recognised and things they understood. Hence why the importance around translating some of your military experience into kind of construction jargon almost, and Bill Post tried to help with that. Is important. Yeah. Another question from Patrick for you both. If you have NEBOSH construction, do you still need SMSTS?
If you're going for site management, yeah, you will. If you've got NEBOSH, a lot of people do the NEBOSH qualification to go for a more health and safety orientated role, such as health and safety advisor. But if you are looking to go down a site management sector, then you will need your SMSTS. But the NEBOSH will help massively in the health and safety side of things. You'll be picking up things that a health and safety advisor would be picking up. So you'll be really all over it, to be honest.
Okay, no, that's good advice. And again, we've got some queries from David and Tommy just on CV in terms of how do you translate. But again, we'll help you. Your mentor will help you. Again, David's been told to take out all military experience on his CV. It's not relevant or helpful. I don't know if I agree with that, but we can certainly help you with that. Listen, thank you very much. There's still more questions. There's more questions I've got, but I think we've run out of time. I truly appreciate your help this morning. I think 2 key comments from you, Corey. You says it's who you know, so meet contacts to get your foot in the door, which I thought was excellent. And from you, Dale, you don't have to be an officer or hold rank to become a construction manager. Be persistent. So I thought that was incredible advice. Okay, if anybody's got any last words they want to, any closing words? Is your mute on, Dale? Oh, sorry, it's normally me that does it. It's normally me. That's no, okay, yeah.
Just what Laura was saying regarding the Armed Forces Covenant. There's a register out there of the companies who have signed the Armed Forces Covenant. Potentially, you could go direct to them and say, look, you've signed the Covenant. They'll know what transferable skills you have, and potentially that could be a quick step finding these companies. So just one on that, really.
Great. No, thank you. And again, Chris, David, Tommy, we'll connect you after the call. So Caroline will be in touch. Thank you, Lara. Thank you, Corey. And thank you, Dale. Okay, we'll pass back to Caroline.
Thank you. Good luck.
So yeah, thanks guys. That was great, and I would like to echo Angela. I wrote down in my notes Dale's comment. You don't have to be an officer or hold a rank to be a construction manager. That's really inspiring for others out there. And as for Corey, I worked with Corey for a year or so, and I have to say, he was very inspirational. He just did not give up, and that's why he is where he is today. So and it's lovely to still be working with you, Corey. Thank you. So thanks guys for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. We have our next one in 2 weeks' time, and that will be logistics manager, but I'll push all that out anyway. And then just to say, Billforce are here to help you with your CV. You know, those military skills are important. Don't take them out. It's just how you write it. And also connecting for work placements. The question was asked, how long? Well, I can tell you now, I've placed people into employment after just 1 week of work placement. So start with a week and then see how it goes. So yeah, get in touch. You have my number, you have my email, and thanks very much. Have a great day all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.